Hey y'all, I promise I do not have a fake background. I have to laugh when I was doing the screen test for this. It looked like because I'm on black, I was just a little floating head. I don't know how I feel about being a floating head. But beyond that, welcome to Growth Group with Dr. Erica. I am so excited to spend this time with you today. Today's going to be short and sweet. We're going to be simple, get in and out, but we're going to talk about something that means something. We're going to talk about how to deal with a rough day at work. Are you ready? So, as you all come in, let me tell you who I am. I am Dr. Erica, Harvard trained, double board certified psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I'm on a mission to help people be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my telepsychiatry, my books, including Picture Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, my speaking, and my podcast, Better with Dr. Erica. I do all of that to help busy people like you that pour into everyone else. And you give and give and give. I do this to put you back in your life because a lot of times we give to everyone else and don't give to ourselves. So, as I said before, we're going to talk about how to deal with a rough day at work. Now, if you know someone that needs this, because I think all of us have had some rough days at work, can you tag them? The other thing is, if you know someone that needs this, please share. Sharing is caring. And the last thing, so if you're watching it later, don't even worry about it. Just a hashtag replay in the comments. I've got you. Are you ready? So, one of the reasons we're talking about this is I had a really rough day today. Full transparency, a part of me just wanted to lay down, go to bed, and cancel Growth Group with Dr. Erica. But you know what? I have to be consistent. I have to show up. I have to show up for you. So, I am here. But I figured let's talk about what to do when we have these really, really crazy days. I'm going to just adjust the screen just a little touch because I had one. So, hey, y'all. So do me a favor. Let me know. Do you want to hear what happened to me today? You want to hear? Just stick in the chat if you want to hear what happened to me today. All right. So let me tell you what happened was. So I'm doing some inpatient psychiatry right now. And if you don't know what inpatient means, which is fine, there are a lot of medical terms we just use all the time. Inpatient means I'm in the hospital working with people in a mental health unit. And there's been a little bit of stress going on, and I would literally have been just saying, I want a regular, uneventful day. So I went in this morning, everything seems like it's cool. Then it wasn't. Had all these meetings and stuff. Went a little sideways, but we can make it through that. We can make it through that. So we get later in the day, I'm having a conversation with a patient that starts out very benign. And in the middle of the conversation, it turned into them threatening to kick my head in along with another staff person. Then they threatened just to kill everybody. I don't know about y'all. It's never fun when someone threatens to harm me or kill me. I'm not a big fan. I don't enjoy it. And it causes stress because then naturally you're trying to figure out number one, I need to get out of this situation because I'm a contract worker. I don't have workers' comp. So if I get jacked up, I'm just messed up. I'm just messed up. So then one of my things is you stay grounded with both feet on the ground because you have to look grounded, like you're at least paying attention. And then when it got to the point where it was very obvious that this patient was not going to be able to calm down and that my presence would simply just agitate them more, I left and had staff kind of standing between us so I could leave. But then it's like being held hostage. I don't know if you all in your jobs have felt like you're held hostage in an office or a room because you can't go anywhere. So I was in the nursing station until the patient could be calmed down enough that it would be safe for me to exit because nobody wants to come out of a room and get jacked up. Not on the list of things anybody wants to do. I know it's not on my list of things I want to do. So my day went sideways by getting threatened to have my head kicked in and killed. So that's how my day was. So let me know in the chat what kind of rough days you've had. Maybe you haven't had any rough days at work. Maybe you haven't had any bad days at work. Maybe you haven't had any days where things went left. But if you have, drop it in the chat. Let me know because we're going to talk about it. Because I find like sometimes there are these kind of two times a days. There are days that when it goes left from the start and it stays left until you leave, like till that minute you walk out the door. And then there are those days where it's going great and then it just goes left. And there are a couple of things I would like to talk to you about of ways to manage when it gets like that. Because at the end of the day, beyond the fact that we're in a pandemic, there's a major war, there's still a lot of administrative things going on, systemic racism, structural racism, things against the LGBTQIA community, just all the things. There are plenty of things still going on, along with work, adulting, and we all have lives outside of work. So I've got a couple things for you. So I'm gonna tell you what I did, and we're gonna talk about it. So my day was already a little out of control prior to me getting threatened to get my head kicked in. So one of the things I do for myself, and I encourage you to do it. Everyone is not always a big lunch eater. Lunch is my piece of sanity. It's one of the reasons to me lunch is non-negotiable. Even if it's not an all-day event, it's not a super long lunch. I need lunch. Let's see. My bad days mostly stem how I'm feeling about myself in particular moment. I tend to project. Oh, got it. So one of the things I do, and this can help with that too, is lunch. So today I couldn't take a long lunch. It was probably 10 minutes of cramming down a salad and stuff. But I take a period of time which I eat that I do not do work and eat at the same time, where I will sit and I will eat and I will take part of that time. Sometimes I may work through part of my lunch, but I will not work through all of my lunch. Part of the reason I don't do that is it gives a little time to stop and reset. So, one of the strategies I have found that's helpful is to take some time and take a break of some sort around the lunch. One of the other things I recommend that I did not have a chance to do today, but I have done on other days, is sometimes it can clear your head a little bit to go for a walk. And even if I had one job where you could just go outside and walk the parking lot, or I'd walk a quick block or walk all the way around the building. Sometimes just getting a little bit of fresh air can help you reset, because a lot of this is about resetting and having a little bit of grounding. Because when things start going really left, naturally, you're going to go into fight, flight, or freeze because it's freaking stressful. And honestly, we don't have time really to do any of those at work. Fighting isn't going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help your relationships or getting things done on your team at work. Flight, you can only run so far. Somebody's expecting you to be at work. So you can't just roll out forever. And freeze, sometimes the thing with freeze in these environments is it doesn't necessarily alleviate anything. You're just there, which is different to me than intentionally slowing down. Because when you do it with intention, it's not simply a stress response. So those are two I recommend. Sometimes it's just walking around the office. Sometimes it's walking out the door. And a lot of times it's just walking. It ends up being no more than about 5 minutes. But sometimes just clearing your head, getting a little intentional movement can be helpful. The other thing that I have done in times where my day gets hectic, I didn't have a chance to do this one today either, is I'll do deep breathing either in my office or on the way to the restroom. So I'll do deep breathing as I walk to the restroom and as I walk back, because I feel like that's another way we're doing all these things to try to bring the energy down. Part of the reason we want to calm down and get recentered is you want to have the highest level amount of cognitive clarity when you're attempting to problem solve how to get back out of the situation. Because the ideal is you might have rough moments in your day, but you still want to have a good day. The next thing beyond just sometimes things just go left and it's just bizarre. But the other thing is sometimes when there's a whole lot going on, oh Lord, I thought I'd gotten over the blinking. I'm working on it again. So the other thing is get some help. So there may be some tasks that are going to feel overwhelming, especially in the moment as your day goes sideways, to look and see what are some tasks that you can have somebody help you with. What are some tasks that you can offload? What are some tasks that you can partner with? So that you can have the mental and emotional space and capacity to do what you need to do or to problem solve. And especially when it's like a fire at work, not literally fire, but just something is just a mess and it's on fire, that sometimes it's helpful to have some help with some of the other non-emergent tasks. Or it sometimes it becomes emergent and there are a million things to do and it's hard to do that as a singular person. And a lot of times it's helpful to get some help because like today, that incident happened and then we had like 5 new tasks that came up simply related to that patient becoming so threatening. Well, rather than me try to do all 5, I gave some to the resident so that I could offload some tasks and we could actually get all of them done in a reasonable amount of time. Maybe, but if it helps. I don't kn I think you're gonna have to clarify, Ellis. I'm not quite sure what the maybe. Um, oh, I got it. No, I don't think that's crazy because one of the things I find, and it's one of the reasons sometimes you can talk problems out with someone, is sometimes saying things out loud will help you process. I actually have a one of my old business partner processes out loud, and I actually had to remember it because sometimes I'm like, "What are you really saying?" And I realized he's processing, and then I have to wait for him to process to figure out what is actually going on. But sometimes talking it out is helpful. It's one of the reasons why with some of these new tasks and some of these new modalities, people will talk things out and transcribe them even when they're writing papers, documents, books, and other things, because sometimes talking it out helps their ideas flow better rather than just being stuck writing or thinking quietly. Yeah, I figured that out after I said, I don't know, Ellis. The next set of things, so we talked about some things you can do in the actual workday to try to kind of shift and reset. The next couple of things are things that can be done afterwards. So the first thing is you may have a quick moment and you start thinking about, okay, what am I going to do to be kind to myself and pour into myself once I am logged out of work? I'm saying logged out, but sometimes I was actually physically at work. So that's just a term of the moment you're actually done. Okay, when you're done. And think of what can you do to pour for yourself, pour into yourself, or do something for yourself to just kind of release it and start feeling a little better. So for me, I knew I had some calls, I knew I had this, but I was like, I'm not gonna cook dinner. I'm going to pick dinner up. And once I'm done with all of this, I'm going to put on my comfy pajamas and have a picnic in my bed. I said it. But I want to encourage you, start thinking of what you can do when you're done. Be it exercise, be it take a nap, be it call one of your good friends or your family to talk about how you're feeling or just to get loved on a little bit. Be it just log out and don't look at social media or anything and just have some quiet time. I can't tell you what's going to feel good to you. I'll give you ideas, but I can't tell you exactly what's going to fit in the moment. But I encourage you to start thinking of what are those things that start making you feel better so that when you start having those days, you can think of this is what I'm going to do for myself. You could be looking forward to that, which can help lift your mood. And then when you shift into those other activities, then it can act as something to help lift your mood, shift your energy from the stress of work, and also be a signal that you're off from work. And that's one of the reasons I think it was so stressful during the pandemic and when people were working from home, is for a lot of people that signal to their body that you are off from work and you're leaving work was their drive home. With working from home, you don't have that drive home. But I encourage you to start thinking, being mindful of what are those things that help transition and tell your mind and body that you're done with work for now, because those are things that are going to help you leave that rough day at work And the one thing I don't want you to be stuck doing is carrying all of that emotion from that rough day at work, all of that angst or that irritability or that anxiety or that sadness and frustration into the rest of your day. I want you to remember how much power you have to set the tone of your day. So if you had some things that happened during your work day, you still have more day left. And I want you to be able to make the rest of the day great for yourself, or at least all right. It may not feel great, but if we can get to all right, we are good. So I just wanted to pop in. For all of you who came in later, we started off by talking about how my day was rough because one of my patients decided to threaten to kill me and to kick my head in. And so we were talking about different ways while you're in the middle of the workday and after the workday is over, of ways to lift yourself, number one, to help make it through the day. Number two, so they have the cognitive clarity and capacity to problem solve and move past that. Number three, just to feel better and to start shifting the energy. And then to transition into your time after work, have things to look forward in ways to be able to have another type of energy in that portion of the day. Because one of the things that we're seeing happen so much is, especially because there's so much stress involved right now, is that all of the stress of one rough day turns into multiple rough days, which can turn into burnout. And burnout can then morph and go from simply being burnout, which doesn't feel good at all. Burnout doesn't feel good either. But then a lot of times that can, if it's not addressed, start morphing into depression or morph into substance use issues or morph into a major anxiety disorder. And I don't want that for any of you. So I want you, if you're having a rough day, for you to have the tools to start shifting so that rough day is contained. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Just drop those in the chat. Again, if you know anybody that needs this, please tag them. If you know anybody that needs this, you can share. Sharing is caring. And the last thing, if you're watching it later, don't even worry about it. Push hashtag replays. Just stick it in there. And if you missed part of the early part and you want to catch it and you want to catch those tips because you came on a little later, just go back. Go back to the beginning. Check it out. Oh, yes. And listening to music is helpful. I left out some of my things is I'll turn on things on my iPad in the background. And I usually at any given time have one cartoon identified as a pick me up. At one time it was Rio, now it is Encanto. But you all have heard me talk about Encanto a million times. Yes, I do know people that will sit in their cars or people that will actually take the long way home just to have some space. Thank you so much. So I want to say thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you for taking time out of your busy day to spend time with me. You know, Tuesdays are growth group with Dr. Ericka, so you can find me Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. The other thing you can do on Tuesdays is you can find my podcast. My podcast releases new episodes on Tuesday mornings, and I'm so excited about this episode today. It is about better health and the path of let's see, I always want to jack up the word, untraditional, because I looked at the difference between non-traditional and untraditional. So it's untraditional doctor. And the guest is Dr. Renee Matthews, and you will love her. So I would encourage you to check it out. It's on all podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So you can find it anywhere, any of those places. And I would love, let's see if I can get everything to work, for you to check it out. I want to also spread just a little bit of love. I know everybody is dealing with a lot. There are lots of things going in the world, but you showed up for yourself. So I want to give yourself a round of applause for showing up for you. I appreciate you supporting me, but you showed up for yourself. The next thing is take your left hand, put it on your right arm. Take your left hand, put it on your right arm. Right hand, left arm, and squeeze. Give yourself a big squeeze. I want to say thank you again. I look forward to seeing you next week. If you start missing me, you can always watch old episodes or you can tune into my podcast. That's what I got for you tonight. Thank you so much for spending time with me and sharing with me after I can't say the word, but my out of control day. And thanks for being there to help pick me up too. So have a great night. Bye-bye.